Star Trek. Lower Decks' multiverse story ending creates a massive canon problem. Star Trek has always been a franchise that thrives on bold storytelling experiments. From time travel paradoxes to mirror universe invasions, the series has never shied away from breaking the laws of physics, or even its own continuity, if it meant exploring bigger questions. But Star Trek, Lower Decks' recent foray into the multiverse takes things to a whole new level. And while the finale was funny, heartfelt, and ambitious, it also left fans with a canon problem big enough to make even Q scratch his head. The multiverse in Star Trek. Not exactly new. It's worth remembering that Star Trek has dipped into the multiverse before. The infamous mirror universe, first introduced in the original series, became a recurring narrative playground, later fleshed out in Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, and Discovery. Episodes like TNG's Parallels with Worf showed us a staggering range of alternate timelines, proving that infinite versions of our favorite characters exist simultaneously. The Kelvin timeline movies, meanwhile, created a whole new continuity to explore without erasing the old one. So multiverse stories aren't alien to Trek. But Lower Decks, being a comedy that doesn't mind poking holes in continuity, pushed the concept to its most chaotic extreme. Boimler, Mariner, and the problem of infinite selves. The heart of the finale story revolved around Brad Boimler and Beckett Mariner encountering multiple versions of themselves across different universes. Some were goofy parodies, others surprisingly serious, and a few felt like loving callbacks to older Trek lore. It was a gag-filled romp with plenty of Easter eggs, but the consequences of such a story go way beyond the punchlines. The idea of infinite Boimlers and Mariners raises a troubling question. If every possible version of them exists somewhere, how can we consider the Lower Decks crew we've been following for 4 seasons as the real one? For a franchise built on careful continuity, even if sometimes loosely interpreted, the existence of an infinite comedy-driven multiverse threatens to make the canon meaningless. The canonical ripple effect. Here's the big canon problem. Star Trek's multiverse has always been carefully delineated. The mirror universe is distinct. The Kelvin timeline is a branch off the prime, and alternate histories like yesterday's Enterprise are usually sealed away by the end of an episode. But Lower Decks' finale introduces a chaotic multiverse that doesn't follow those rules. These aren't just serious alternate timelines. They're comedic universes with talking animals, exaggerated archetypes, and cartoon logic running wild. If all these realities are canon, and the episode implies they are, then suddenly everything counts. That means the wackiest jokes on Lower Decks might exist alongside the solemn moral quandaries of the next generation. If that's the case, where do we draw the line between real Trek canon and throwaway parody? The Marvel problem. In many ways, this is the same issue Marvel ran into with its What If series. Once you introduce infinite universes, the stakes in any one universe feel diminished. Why should we worry if the Cerritos crew is in danger if an infinite number of them exist elsewhere? Why care if Mariner grows as a character if there are endless versions of her who never will? By opening the canon floodgates to every possible iteration, Lower Decks risks undermining the emotional stakes that make Star Trek storytelling powerful. Trek's balancing act between comedy and canon. Of course, some fans will argue that Lower Decks shouldn't be held to the same standard as other Star Trek shows. It's animated, comedic, and deliberately meta, so maybe its multiverse chaos is just for laughs. The problem is that Lower Decks has also worked very hard to be part of the prime timeline, with references and cameos that tie directly into the Next Generation, Voyager, and Deep Space Nine. It can't have it both ways, being canon when it wants to be taken seriously, and non-canon when it wants to get weird. This tension is at the heart of the canon problem. If Lower Decks is truly canon, then its multiverse finale forces us to accept that infinite absurd realities exist within Trek's continuity. But if it's just a joke, then it undermines the show's own insistence on being part of the larger Star Trek tapestry. Possible solutions. There are a few ways Trek could solve this canon conundrum. One option is to clarify that the multiverse in Lower Decks is more of a comedic exaggeration, similar to how holodeck episodes can bend reality without breaking canon. Another option is to treat the episode as a one-off anomaly caused by some cosmic interference, the kind of thing Q or the prophets might cook up. Finally, the franchise could lean into the chaos and fully embrace a looser definition of canon, where everything counts, but only some stories matter. Why it matters. For Lower Decks' humor,